Welcome everybody. Like Carolyn said, we're going to talk about the SBA Mentor-Protégé program today. My name is Scott Poole. I'm the government contracting specialist, one of them here at the Small Business Development Center. And today we have a special guest, Brian Carroll, president of Carroll International, and he's been through the program, so he's going to tell you a little about his experience and about his successful business. Tell a little about myself, who we are, and how to sign up for services. A description of today's webinar, uh, and then we'll give it over to Mr. Carroll, and he can do his presentations, and then we'll answer any questions at the end. So a little bit about me. I've worked with various government contractors since 1990. I teach government contracting, pricing, finance, and management courses at a local university. And prior to working with government contractors, I worked at a commercial bank. Now, we're a resource partner for the Small Business Administration. We're not the SBA, but we're a resource for them. We have 21 centers across the state, and we offer individual confidential counseling at no cost to our clients. And all our consultants are highly trained, and we assist both existing and startup companies. We help folks with their business plans, fiscal and operations management, financing options, marketing strategies, human resources, and many more. Now, we conduct webinars, workshops, and webinars like we're doing today. And we also have specialized services, exporting, technology commercialization, veteran business assistance, minority outreach, and government contracting. So there's three of us in the Small Business Development Center. Up in the Midlands, we have Scott Bellows around the Columbia area. And in the upper state in Greenville, we have Sherry Pittenger. And then me, Scott Poole, I'm in the Low Country in the Charleston area. So if you want to sign up for services, go to our website and click this little button to sign up to request counseling. Or you could simply just send me an email and I'll help you out get registered and we could go from there. Now, the Small Business Administration, they provide several programs to help small businesses win federal contracts. So participation in these programs helps small businesses win a fair share of federal contracts, qualify for exclusive set-aside contracts, sole source contracts, partnering with established contractors to win contracts, and meeting, mentoring, and education to learn how federal contracting works. So there's a lot of them, but our focus today is on the SBA's Mentor-Protégé program. Now, your small business, you could learn from an experienced government contractor through this program. You could learn from all their lessons learned along the way. And there's benefits, guidance on your internal business management systems, accounting, marketing, manufacturing, and strategic planning, and also financial assistance, in the form of maybe equity investments, loans, and bonding. Education about international trade, depending on who your mentor is here, strategic planning and finding markets, and also assistance navigating federal contract bidding, acquisition, and the federal procurement process. So it's nice to have somebody that's been through this and that you could learn from. So business development, strategy, and identifying contracting and partnership opportunities, and general and administrative assistance, like human resourcing sharing or security clearance support. Now, to be a protege in this program, you have to be qualified. You have to be a small business with industry experience, be organized for profit or as an agricultural cooperative, and have a proposed mentor prior to applying for the program. Sometimes it works the other way, but usually you have a relationship where I said, "Hey, big Mr. Big Business, would you be my mentor in this program?" Now, for the mentor, they have to be organized for profit or as an agriculture cooperative and be able to carry out its responsibilities to assist the protege. And you have to possess good character. You can't appear on the federal list of the barred or suspended contractors. Like you won a contract and you didn't perform, different things like this, you got disbarred or suspended, you can't be a mentor. And then finally, be able to impart value to a protege firm due to your lessons learned, practical experience gained, or through its knowledge of general business operations and government contracting. So the SBA, they're going to take the applications from the mentor, from the protege, and they're going to determine that the mentor provided assistance will promote real developmental gains for the protege, not just acts as a vehicle to receive federal small business set-asides. Now, an applicant, protege, and prospective mentor may not be affiliated at the time of application. Now, the SBA considers businesses that are affiliates when one party has the power to control the other, or a third party or parties controls or has the power to control both. And it doesn't matter if it's happening or whether it's exercised, so long as the potential to control exists. And that's a little bit about the program, the steps, what qualifies you as a protege, qualifies the mentor, and what the SBA goes through. And now we have Byron. He's going to give a presentation and tell about his experience with the SBA and the program and how it helped his business and other things. And then we'll go for some questions. Let's see, Brian.
Thanks, Scott. I certainly appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for being in an audience here today. Hope to be able to add some value to your experience and working with the federal government and being a part of the DIB. I tell you, the first thing that I'll lead out with just says something that's truly helped me in this journey as being a president of Carroll International. I'll tell you about myself and tell you about the company too. But use your resources is the first tidbit of something I'll say to you is what Scott can provide to you, as well as the other agencies, which he can make introductions to, is so valuable. And you've paid for these services. It's free consulting that can help your business grow that you've already paid for in your tax dollars. And these guys have the ability to help you, have the resources to help you, have the experience to help you. And it's at the right price. So use your resources. And I think that's probably something old country boy like myself has done very well from some of the backgrounds I have. Some of the organizations I have, working with Chamber of Commerce and working with other in the private organizations before I got into this public and governmental contracting, is use the resources that are out there for you. So with that, just a little bit about myself. I live right on the North Carolina state line between North and South Carolina. Long, South Carolina is where we have our corporate headquarters. And we've been in business since 2007 and started doing actual federal contracting in 2016. Did not do any type of federal contracting until 2016, and I was actually in business, but still running a full-time job supporting my family. And in 2016, got an opportunity to get full-time into business for myself and kind of jump into the deep end of the pool, and to be able to have the P&L responsibility for the Carroll family at that point in time. And first thing I did was take some of the relationships that I had, which are cornerstones of the business and still are today. And it's all about relationships, people that you know, and let them know that, this is what I'm pursuing, and can I count on them to support me, right? And other companies. And luckily, I had two companies which are still doing business with heavily today. Say yes, absolutely. And started out by getting our federal set-asides and getting registered in SAM. I'm sure that's where most of you guys either are at now or have gotten as some of your first steps. And the two things we qualified to be able to sign up for were HUBZone certification and a service-disabled veteran-owned. At that point in time, they were still separate, and you had to sign up through one through the VA and the other through the SBA. And obviously, the paperwork was quite a handful, but it went after it to get these certifications. It was 4 months into the process of bidding contracts, and we got our first sale in April of 2016. I remember exactly where I was at and who I was with when I got the phone call from the contracting officer awarding us our very first contract. Lo and behold, it was nothing that we went into business to do. I just saw it out there and said, hey, I can do this and we can pull this together. The first contract that we got was teaching scuba diving lessons to MARSOC. And there were scuba diving lessons for how to use dry suits. And I had a guy that could do it and pulled the deal together and project managed it. And that was our first one that put us onto the map. To date, I think we've done somewhere over 200 federal contracts with contracts that we've won and gotten re-upped. All those are primed. We've probably done 5 or 10 times more than that in subcontracts, working with the other large primes. A lot of what brought us to the place we're at today was the Mentor-Protégé program. It really was it offered us so much credibility, and I'll get into how that happened. And but the first question that everybody always asks when we start talking about the Mentor-Protégé program is, how do you find your mentor? Right, that seems to be the hardest one. And I'll tell you, with the SBA Mentor-Protégé program, names that you've heard of have been historically involved with it. There's not a published list of mentors that are out there, but your Boeings, Lockheed Martins, Northrop Grumman's, Raytheon's, General Dynamics, L3Harris, Hewlett Packard, Cisco, Leidos, and names that you've heard of in this industry are participating in this Mentor-Protégé program. And so going to places where they're at, federal trade shows, and trying to establish relationships with them is the best way to do it. I got involved with General Dynamics, and that's became our mentor, and it was quite a process. The first thing that I did was start to sell their products as a small business. Okay, without a contract, I knew their sales organization, members of that I was able to go out and sell their product as a small business, service disabled, veteran-owned HUBZone places that they can't play at, but their customers needed to have a go-to company that could do that. And so didn't have a contract, just had relationships, was able to buy it for X, sell it for Y into these companies, started attending trade shows with them, and like, where's the next place your guys going to be? And I would go there. Frankly, I slept on some couches of some of the folks in my industry to be able to afford to go to some of these shows. They're kind of pricey. That led me into a VAR contract that we have, and we still have it today, a value-added reseller of the General Dynamics products. And they didn't offer that to me in the beginning because there's a lot of research and vetting that goes into being able to offer one of those contracts. Okay, so we got our VAR contract with them. We're selling anything else we could at that point in time, but we're trying our best to concentrate with General Dynamics, showing them a significant amount of loyalty, and going any place that they wanted us to, or any place that we thought that we could go and network with them. And that led to the question one day, would you like to entertain entering into a Mentor-Protégé relationship with General Dynamics? And I think I said, well, who do I have to, what do I have to do to get that, right? And I really didn't understand exactly what it meant to me in the beginning, but they asked me to go to it. To do this, and we started out about a 7-month vetting process. This isn't something that the SBA or and by the way, every federal agency, just about every federal agency, has their own Mentor-Protégé program. Okay, But this isn't vetting that was going to be done by the agency. It was going to be done by General Dynamics, because General Dynamics was not going to attach themselves to anybody that could possibly embarrass them. Once again, we're talking about a Fortune 100 company, and somebody that can legally say out there, we're an official protege of General Dynamics, right? So that's a really heavy statement, and something that they have built up their brand, the trust that goes into that brand, and what it means to say General Dynamics out in the public space. And for us to be able to use that on our websites and our advertising and communication, they were not going to allow that relationship to get started lightly. So we went through several months of vetting by General Dynamics. It included background checks on all the high-level staffs that weren't just one time, but ongoing. They set up a lot of ongoing interest in our company. A quick story: one day there was a tornado in our area, and before I heard the weather alert come over by my phone or come onto the TV, they called me. And General Dynamics, one of their representatives said, hey, we just need you guys to be aware there's a tornado in your area. Please take appropriate steps. They're monitoring us, right? In addition to that, we needed to get established with a third-party financial health and strength assessment company called Rapid Ratings. And Rapid Ratings is, once again, a third-party company that General Dynamics has hired to assess the financial health and strength of companies in their supply chain, and they wanted to find out that with us as well, and that transparency. So to mitigate their risk, and they really they say this a lot, they're a very risk adverse company, and they truly are. So we went through all of this vetting, all of this background before we ever turned in the application to go into the Mentor-Protégé program. Okay, once we got into the program, and that was sometime right in the 2019 time period, we went to multiple trainings with them. Now, keep in mind, we were not in a reimbursable mentor-protege. This is something you need to know. Some of these programs are reimbursable, some of them are not reimbursable, and every single agency, just like the SBA, I would really work with Mr. Poole closely if this is something that you're wanting to go into the SBA's mentor-protege program to make sure your end goals are aligned. With ours, we didn't have anything that was reimbursed to us. So anytime we went to a training at one of the General Dynamics facilities, anytime they asked us to do something, it was all on our dime, right? And that got costly. And the paperwork that you are going to have to keep up with to do this effectively, it's going to take you a few days a month to be able to keep up with the paperwork. And so if you don't have positive cash flow coming in to be able to afford to do something like this, you might want to think about the timing so that you are successful all the way through this, because you'll be afforded some opportunities that are going to cost money. And if you don't have the revenue to back that up, then that's something you need to consider for that. So went to trainings, met with their attorneys to go over our attorney plan, set up several different programs that were to help us grow that we did not have in place at Carroll International. Looked at some of the things like cyber requirements, and they have the subject matter experts, but all of these things to strengthen our company, right? And this happened over the course of a year. We had a plan. We were planning out every year with what we think we needed, and working with their I call them handlers, but they're SBLO staff. And it's like, hey, here's what we want on this year. Here's the trade shows we're going to be at. And at those trade shows, I would oftentimes get afforded to go to meetings with them as their official protege. And, so I'm going out with VPs of supply chain, head of acquisitions and purchasing, and you'd be at a really, table with 8 to 16 folks there who were all titans and been, in the industry for a long time. And so those networking opportunities were phenomenal. And I built up multiple relationships that are still active to this day. And that cross-pollinates over time because people don't always stay in that job. So people that have moved on to other companies around the DIB and around the defense industrial base, and inside of other companies that have brought me with them over there and brought that relationship with. And that has been really, really good. And I said I would come back to credibility. So people in the know who are looking at small businesses to partner with understand the amount of financial investment it takes to vet a company. it takes a while, takes a lot of time, and it takes money to be able to get a company. And so us going through that Mentor-Protégé program and us going and being a successful protege with them tells other companies that are those some of the other large ones, the Raytheons, the L3 Harrises, the HPs, the Boeings, those companies there, that we're probably a pretty safe bet that we'll pass their vetting too. Right. And so we've kind of got a credibility stamp onto us that if General Dynamics is working for us, working for them, that this is a safe bet that we're going to pass over other vetting, and that credibility that we've established by doing that, and this shared credibility from the General Dynamics name that bled into Carroll International. Hallelujah. That really put us on the map in a major way. So to proceed a little bit, 2021, we won the Nunn-Perry Award. I got it down off the trophy shelf, and Nunn-Perry Award with General Dynamics. So I was able to go with the General Dynamics CEO and accept the award. And that was really, really cool. The Nunn-Perry is for some of the best Mentor-Protégé teams in the inside the DIB, and we were recognized for that and won a trophy. And which again was for us as a small business. Now we're able to put out a press release, and General Dynamics did too. So that's a lot of great backlinks to our website. That's once again us being mentioned in a favorable light with a bedrock company inside of the U.S. Federal government, and established a lot of people like, who are these guys? Carroll International, and going to our website, and a lot of beautiful things happened because of that award. And we're getting into the COVID time period, and the time period that we were supposed to do this was a 36-month Mentor-Protégé program, and so we're supposed to stop in 2022. We were afforded and asked and said, hey, would you like to do 2 more years because most of your time was during COVID? We said, heck yeah, we definitely would. We're in the groove with this. Why wouldn't we want to do it? And so we signed up for 2 additional years through the Mentor-Protégé program. And during that time period, not only were we selling with our VAR contract General Dynamics, as well as a lot of other companies, but we were selling our General Dynamics products every chance we could, and trying to grow that book of business. In addition to that, we were asking, we want to sell into General Dynamics too, because of course they're huge on so many different contracts. And that happened, and we ended up winning an award internally with General Dynamics as their supplier of services for the year, for one of the years in COVID. And so we've got a big display for that as well. Once again, a lot of credibility, and for us to go into other large primes and say, this is what we've been able to do with General Dynamics, and we're an award-winning supplier into them. Definitely puts grease on the skids for us to be able to work with other large companies, and possibly set up another Mentor-Protégé at some time in the future to establish maybe a joint venture or something like that may be needed into the future. So this has really been a great opportunity for Carroll International to get on the map. And luckily or unluckily, I think it's that we fell backwards into it, right? And they say, luck's that intersection between opportunity and capability, right? And that's when it happens. But I'm going to all the events. I'm setting my company up right. I'm doing everything possibly that I possibly can to be an ethical company, because with these large primes, I can tell you right now, especially with General Dynamics, can't speak for all of them, but there's no gray area with them. There's no any place in their world is acceptable risk to them. They're not wanting anybody that is going to do anything that's going to embarrass their company in their private lives or in their business lives. They're not going to work with companies like that. So a little bit more about Carroll International and what we do. And we're a value-added reseller of products and services inside the federal government. We're an outsourced sales team. And so companies, including General Dynamics, they have hired us and work with us to put more sales team members on their staff without having to manage them, without having to recruit them. They basically train us on how to do things, and they either work in 1 or 3 different categories. Either they have a river of business that they want to funnel through us, because it costs so much less for a company. We don't have the overhead that they do to be able to accept a purchase order. It costs quite a bit to be able somebody to buy something from you and to process that purchase order, to process that company's terms and conditions for their acquisition, to process who they are. and the vetting of the background. So all these things cost a lot of money. It doesn't cost us nearly the amount of money. We're not running big facilities and engineers and warehouses and things like that. And so we can do it much less expensive. And so running a river of business through our company is one of the ways we work with organizations. We work with several doing that. Some companies don't have a river of business that they want to send, but they would love to have one of those to send through us. And so we do the business development, the sales cycling on that, and do the billing, and really act as an outsourced federal sales organization for companies that don't have that, where we will take all of their federal headaches away from them, such as compliance every place we can, billing in the federal government, doing business development, even gearing up marketing for companies that have a federal spin to it. We don't educate them on how to do these things. There's plenty of organizations such as what Scott can do in the SBA, and there's so many, if they want to learn how to do this thing, please go do it. If you want to take it and outsource it with a company that's done hundreds of prime contracts, that's where we come in for that and create that river of business. And then third and final, we work with companies that we can get to, and they're more of a commodity. We see the government's wanted to buy it from a company like us, and they're wanting, and we buy it for X and sell it for Y. And that's pretty much the core of us at a VAR. And we're happy doing that. It keeps us in our lane and what we're good at. And we've been very diverse on our sales. And I'll tell you, if all you CEOs that are on this call, try to be as diverse as you possibly can. You see how quickly things can turn in the federal government, and you'll hear, specialize. And I've heard people tell me that quite, for years, but they're not in my seat. And what I like to see is that we've sold tanker loads of diesel fuel. We've sold MMA fighting equipment. I've already told you about scuba diving lessons. We've sold a ton of radios. We've sold a bunch of fiber optics. We've done situation rooms, access entry, camera systems, installed all these things. And it's just, I've got a team of folks, and I say, as long as it's legal and we can exceed the expectations of our customers, usually the government, or we're working through a large prime, we'll go for it. And so far, so good. We've gotten all of our CPARs, our report cards are all look really good. And we've been able to complete every contract that we possibly, that we've been given, minus one. We did have some PPE, a personal protective equipment during COVID that we sold, and we go to deliver it to the customer, and then someone had already sold it out from underneath us. And that was the wild west of COVID. And that's really the only time that we have not been able to satisfy a contract during this time. And so that's given us some street credit to be able to flex and to be able to say these things. As far as our sales pitch to organizations, why do you want to work with us, right? Whether that be a company that we want to sell their products or a customer that we're selling to. And I'll step back over to that Rapid Ratings, that third-party company. If you don't have something that's validating your financial health and strength as a company, can you handle this contract? I would highly suggest you reach out to Rapid Ratings and get them to assess you. Doesn't cost that much to do. It costs a lot less than it does for Dun & Bradstreet, frankly. And they're going to give you a report that you can share with other companies, and other companies, if you give them permission, can see your report on the Rapid Ratings site. But that goes out in all of our proposals. If you want to see ours, go to our website, carrollintl.com, and up in the top left, you can click on it. Our Rapid Rating score for several years is up there. And we use that as a way to establish the fact that we are a financial healthy company, that we can handle the purchase order. That always keep that in mind. You can get too much business, too big of a contract that can put you out of business. We also established a really healthy relationship with a company called Corning, who's invented fiber optics, and we became a top 10 federal company with Corning. We've been able to give back as well. We used our corporate facility here. We are a brick and mortars company, and a place people can come and visit. And we did blood drives all the way through COVID, and the Red Cross recognized us for that as well. We've been able to keep our certifications up, our service disabled, and our HUBZone. Now it's going to get a little bit easier for us to do those now. That's been unified by the SBA and gotten all under one roof. I'm not having to do two sets of set-aside applications every year, and just roll that into doing it one. And that's where our hub zone is not going to be looked at again until I think 2029. And so we're pretty safe on it, having our hub zone map not change with us, and our service is able to better our own. No chance on that changing either. So I think I've rambled on for quite a bit, and I hope I'm giving you guys some value. But I think it may be better now that we've talked, just to see if there's questions out there, anything that I can point you in the right direction of, or at least tell you what my take is on certain things, whether it be right or wrong for you. Scott, let me turn it back over to you for a moment. Scott, if you're trying to communicate, you are on mute. All right, I'll keep telling you a few things that have helped us out. For all you veterans that are in here, that if you're a veteran CEO, I would recommend, and this came through my Mentor-Protégé program. General Dynamics encouraged me to go check out Veterans in Procurement (VIP). It's a week-long training course just for veterans that are CEOs of their company, and you go up to DC and they bring in some really squared away instructors that teach you, and it's free. Also, your food and your lodging for that week is free as well. So the VIP training program, I've been through 5 of them. They're advanced, they're startup, they're middle one, they're international, they're commercial. Highly recommend the VIP program as a way of getting some education. If you're HUBZone, I would definitely tell you to go check out the HUBZone Council. The HUBZone Council, it puts on an event once a year, and all the way through the year, they're giving you an education. But that's a great place if you want to go talk to about 25 or 30 large businesses that are there, that are looking for companies to work with to help satisfy some of their needs. That's a great place to go up there and meet a lot of those individuals at one time. They did probably one of the best jobs of bringing in so many large companies for their SBLOs into the same place as I've ever seen. So that's goes in DC, but that's the HUBZone Council. And if you have that, I would definitely go to that council's retreat. One also thing, if you're using the HUBZone, don't forget about the PEP. We have used it successfully. That's the preferred evaluated price. It's a 10-point pricing advantage you can get in fair and open competition, and we have used that and won opportunities in the fair and open category, not in small business, not in HUBZone, but in the fair and open. And we've won competitions with that using that PEP. So I would highly advise you, if you are a HUBZone company, to use that. And let's see here. Did make some notes. Yeah, here's a couple of tidbits too. It's how these guys think, the large businesses. When you're approaching them about Mentor-Protégé or approaching them about working with them, always be thinking, what is in it for them? Okay. They hit up several times a day. And if you're at a trade show talking to them, they've probably already been hit up 5 times with somebody coming over telling them, hey, I'm service disabled. I'm a HUBZone. I'm 8A. I know you need me. They don't. They've got hundreds to pick from. Okay. Go to it and be thinking about what is in it for them. What kind of value can you add? What kind of risk can you mitigate for them? What can you add to what they are doing to help them? In my case, I could go sell their product. I was adding extra sales staff to their team in areas that they needed to. And that's one of the ways I was able to add value, right? They are not looking for another mouth to feed. They do not. There's an argument that they need us in subcontracting plans, but it's not the same way that a federal agency needs to keep and maintain their goals. So don't lead out with your set aside. Lead out with your value, how you can help them. And if you're really going to do this smart, do your research your own, that you can add some value with your company before you go to the event, and target who's going to be there. As far as the company, you might not know which SBLO is going to be out there, but think about how your company can add value to what they are already doing, right? What can you pull off of this thing so that it's more valuable to them? And always ask yourself, what's in it for them?
So how do you foresee these government contract opportunities to change with how aggressively DOGE is cutting billions in unnecessary spending? I'm not sure that anybody can really truthfully answer that.
Yeah, I know I can't answer that right now. This is so new on this. But I see a second question there that you had. Did I miss that you had to
No,
have
the other one is,
mentor?
did I misunderstand as far as procuring a mentor? We have to have
Right.
our own mentor for the program, or can one be assigned?
Yes, that's true. You have to have somebody in mind to go and say, hey, like, I have this big business here. They talk to them. We can mentor. So
And
you have
Scott,
to have somebody in mind before you go to the SBA.
yeah, in our situation, the SBLOs at General Dynamics, they're constantly talking and constantly meeting with the SBA. It's ongoing. And so they are, and they've got a pool of folks that they're going through the vetting process, not for right now. It's not like, what are we thinking about going to our protege for next week? They're looking years down the road, and they're grooming potential companies and vetting them years down the road. And so with us, it was about, I'm going to guess it's 16 months between getting asked and agreed to going through the process to actually applying for the program. And General Dynamics did all of the application. We had a very small portion on our form that we had to include on there as well. But that's how it worked for us. And they were already, when we were halfway through our program, already selecting and looking for who they were going to go in right behind us. They were definitely not doing this haphazardly and like, just looking for somebody on the cuff. It was years in advance. Over.
And isn't this more or less industry based? Like they're mentoring people that are in a specific NAICS code or something of that nature? Or is it just general mentoring? And that's a question for me.
I'll take a stab at it unless somebody's got a more educated position on this.
And
But
Scott may know this as well.
Scott, you want to take it?
Scott may be having a challenge with his connection.
Sure.
Because that, there are questions here that, do you know if there is a link we can go to find protege mentor programs that are actively looking for mentees? And of course, is there a list of potential mentors?
I'm not sure. You can go to the SBA site, and I'm not sure if they have one. It gives a potential list, but it's, the big companies that you see out there, forming a relationship. Sometimes you're just working with them, and then you get into arrangement that Byron got, and eventually they became a member after you worked with them for so many years. But you have to make that initial uh, get together here. And some of them, was just getting in like programs like with the CDCA, that's the Charleston Defense Contractor Association. They put on quarterly things called the SBIOIs. That's the Small Business Industry and Outreach Initiative, where they get together quarterly. You have NIWIC, it is the Navy, comes in, does presentations. You go there and network with a lot of companies, talk to government official, contract officers, and that could be one of your questions when you talk to them. They have like a speed round at the end of these. It's good for this for networking and others.
And I would add on to that, whenever you go to go to the trade shows, you can't, there's one going on every week someplace. Find the ones that are around you that are at, I always looked at the cost as well, because some of the costs on these get really out the roof. But find the ones that are around you, and just about all of the big booths, they're large businesses. And if they're doing federal contracting, the SBA is going to be hitting on them as well as other federal agencies to be a protege in their mentor protege program. And so and then I would go and how can I add value to these guys, to this large business, so that I can gain some street credit. If you go straight in and asking about the mentor protege program, I can tell you, you're going to be put into just a side area. That's nice, but we've got 10 companies over there that we're looking at it. Get involved with this company somewhere, add value to them. We did it by selling their products, but that's just one way. But figure out some way to add value to them so that you stick out, right? And you've got some people that are being your champions inside the organizations, and also know that they're going to look at everything, your books, and see how healthy a company you are financially. If you're not doing much business, I wouldn't try to waste the opportunity until you get some of the other areas in your company looking strong. Over.
So Scott, these may be for you as well. As far as GD, there's not that large of a company in my field. So Stacy, Scott may have a follow-up question to your question. Scott, you're muted.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
As far as GD, there's not that large of a company in my field. So a lot of these are somewhat industry specific.
Yeah, a lot of industry, both commercial and government.
So there's also, is this program better for product or service-based businesses? More specifically, can this be beneficial for education or consultant services?
Both. Government spends a lot of money on goods and services in many different areas, and so all of the above.
And Scott, let me add on this too. A lot of folks really get this. They think that a mentor protege is a contract. It's a contract, but it's not a contract where they're purchasing your materials, your goods, or your services. They're adding value to you by training, access, credibility, teaching your company on things. But it may or may not come with a subcontract from that large prime. So they're exclusive. And a lot of these people, they don't even know each other. The small business team over on one side and all the buyers and the supply chain folks, they don't always know each other. And so to think that this is going to translate into dollars and cents in your bank, it may, right? And it should if you're really out there hustling and doing what you're supposed to do. But there's most of the time, there's no requirement for them to give you any subcontract.
Is there a specific website or mailing list to get on to search for the trade shows? And that would be one of the things, is almost industry based, because, there's technology trade shows, there's automotive trade shows. So it's not just a standard trade show.
And Scott's probably got a good list of those that are going out. But the big ones, if you're with the Department of Defense, if you're looking into those, you want to be going to AUSA, Modern Day Marine, is another really big one that's in the DC area. If you're into the communications and electronics, you want to be going to the APSEA shows, and that's Armed Forces Communications Electronics Network. They're having one show this week in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So she's exactly right. This is definitely specific to your industry, and then there's some that are just general. In addition to that, your international trade shows are out there as well. Millipol's in Paris, IDEX is in Abu Dhabi, and there's a whole huge amount. But there's international trade shows, but truly you can't go a week without finding someplace to network inside the U.S. federal government. And a lot of times regular companies that aren't always in the electronics and networking will be there because they're service companies or they're doing something to cater to the DIB, the Defense Industrial Base. And so they'll be there in that regard, in that capacity as well. And I think on SAM, they used to there was a calendar on there at one point in time because all of your industry days are published on SAM as well. And that's another good place. And those are normally free to go to your industry days. And so a low-dough way of getting your foot in the door with some of these folks. And sometimes those are really good individuals to get your foot in the door with, because people going to the industry days are not always there just to sell, right? When they're at a trade show, they're selling. And so if they're talking to you about a mentor-protégé program or something like that, you're usually talking to a salesperson. You really need to be talking to an SBLO or somebody in their small business department or somebody high up in their supply chain.
And Scott, you may want to add to this. I have no clue how to find a mentor from this. And then Michael talked about signing up with the SBDC. So the SBDC, we're business consultants. So we're not part of the mentor protege program. So I believe that Stacy is asking how to find a mentor for herself. And that would be somewhat industry specific. My business is doing grant research and writing and wondered if this is appropriate program for me. Is there another program that would be better? And again, there's SCORE. SCORE has mentors, but they're equivalent to our business consultants. So they're not part of the mentor protege program. So Stacy, we would need for you to allow us to better understand what you're looking for. If you're looking for a mentor in the mentor protege program, that is very different than seeking assistance from one of the SBA resource partners, such as SCORE, VBOC, Women's Business Center, or SBDC. So we talked about the specific websites for trade shows. So Stacy says, I have no clue how to find a mentor from this. And, someone talked about the SBDC and SCORE, but I reiterated that that's more business consulting services. We're not part of the mentor protege program. So do you have any thoughts on Stacy's question? I have no clue how to find a mentor from this.
I think you reach out to the SBA. I'll give you an associate that you could contact that works directly with that one, and you could talk to that person from the SBA, and they might have something more than we have to offer.
So Stacy, what I will do is I will send Scott your contact information so y'all can start an online conversation with this. Claudia has, my business is doing grant research and writing and wondered if this is appropriate program for me. Is there another program that would be better? So I don't know if there's a mentor protege program where a large company would bring someone in that does grant writing. But Scott, you may know better than I.
No, not for grant research and writing, but there's always certain sections of different big companies that do that kind of thing. Work on some things like in addition to that, like getting SBIRs and different things of this nature. There's different ones that apply there, but as far as doing grant research and writing, I don't know if there's a better program that might be for you. You might, again, it's a matter of searching to find out a company that's a good fit for you and try to see if there's something that they could give you guidance on. That's the whole thing of this mentor protege program.
And Scott, could you please just again explain the difference between seeking consulting services and the mentor protege program? Because I think that might be where some of our confusion is.
Okay. Yeah, when we give consulting here, let me now when we do consulting and everything, we're helping with government contracting, getting things like, hey, I want to get involved in this. And you might have been in business for a while or you're just starting out, but said, hey, I want to get in with federal contracting. So we're going to help out like this. You're going to want to get on something called sam.gov. That's the System Award Management. And that's the first thing where you get an active registration. And then from there, you can get these various certifications from the SBA. So it goes for set-asides, like a veteran-owned small business, a woman-owned small business, and different things of that nature. And what would happen like this, whenever you get there, your certain business, there are certain NAICS codes that are applied to it. It's a North American Industrial Classification System, and you can find them on the U.S. Census Bureau website. Now, say you're going on, you send in a corporate capability statement, you saw a request for information there on sam.gov. And it's not a solicitation yet that you can bid on, but the contract officer is putting it out there, giving a little statement of work that said, "Hey, I'm looking for companies that could do this." And you might send your corporate capability statement. And if you have those designations, like say a woman-owned small business, and he gets two or more, there's a chance that he might put this through as a set aside that only people that have that certification can bid on it. So it's kind of a competitive advantage. Somebody might have the same NAICS code, but if they don't have that certification, they won't be able to bid on it. So that's a difference with consulting. With the mentoring, that's taking somebody and really taking them by the hand, going really depth with their company here, do this, or we're giving, our just will help like with business plans and the things you see on the screen here, and just give you some general there. But getting with the mentor protege, you have a mentor that's been through all this, and they said, "Hey, I have signed up, so I'm going to help you win these contracts. I'm going to help you get your business going. You could rely on me with any kind of questions. What kind of accounting system are you using there?" And you can learn from them and learn from their mistakes, basically. And so the whole idea of the agreement, the government's holding them, said, "Hey, Mr. Mentor, you said you're going to take care of this protege and help them out, and you have to be of good intentions to do that there." And that's going deeper than what we provide as consultants.
That makes
Does that
total
answer?
sense. Yes. And then, of course, it was helpful when Doc explained that you this being in a mentor protege program with a company may not equate to dollars. It may, but it's not a guarantee. What you're doing is you're learning from an expert in your field on all the aspects of the business. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Carroll?
It is, yes. That's
Absolutely.
beautifully put.
They're definitely it. And I tell you, I want to get back to Stacy's question too, just about how to get started with this thing. Keep in mind, all of your large primes, they have portals you can go as a supplier and go in there and upload your information on how you want to help them, right? And once again, I would advise to add some value before you hit them up with the protege question, right? Lead right out, hey, I want to be your protege. Keep in mind these big companies, they've got a line of folks that are, wanting to be evaluated for that. So I would go into those portals with those large companies, have Scott and the team there help you get a capability summary that's squared away, that clearly outlines, what you've done, your past performance, what your capabilities are, and try to earn some business with these companies. And then leverage that relationship. Once you show them how an outstanding partner to them that you are, then go in and start to use your points of contact there to have an internally go in and somebody to champion you inside of those organizations to get to win a protege. There's, let's say 75, 80 large companies that are out there, and there's thousands and thousands of smalls that would say heck yeah to a protege opportunity. So understand it's highly competitive, but doable.
And you could,
I did it, right?
So
and you can
here's
look for
I'm
things
sorry.
like that's good. You can look for things also. There's the SBA. You can go to their subnet, and that's subnet.sba.gov, and you could look for it's click on your state, and you could see what kind of solicitations are out there, what kind of companies, and you could kind of do some a way of introduction here and say, "Hey, I see you have this opportunity coming on here. Send them your corporate capability statements. See if you get that dialogue going there. You could also find these on something that's called usaspending.gov. That one is a place where all the awards that have been made through the federal government, and you could find the different companies that have awarded these. And let's say it's you have the same NAICS code, you do a search in their NAICS codes, and it comes up, you could see all the awards that happened. You could reach out to them and say, "Hey, I see you have this award," and usually they're in a base and 4 option years. So I see you're in option year 1. Is there a chance that we could work together now or sometime in the future? Because all these big companies, they have to help the SBA reach a goal of 23% coming out to small businesses in order for them to uh, win these big contracts. So they have to, like a Boeing or something like this, when they win a big contract, they have a small business plan. You say, hey, I'm going to have this much was to a woman-owned small business, this one's to a veteran-owned small business, and so on. And that's the goal. And every year, every fiscal year, the SBA goes to all the different agencies and gets their plan to see, can you help us meet this 23%? And they've exceeded it. Last year was like 28%. So they're doing pretty good.
Stacy wants to unmute so she can ask some questions, but I also wanted to get in quickly before, and Stacy, you can go ahead and unmute. This question, does the mentor have to be based in the same state as the protege business?
No.
So Stacy, go right ahead.
Okay. It's probably me. I'm confused and I feel a little bit frustrated, and I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody, but I thought that when we joined this meeting today, we were getting information on how to participate in the program and information on linking up with one or getting one assigned to us. And like I said, maybe that's just me and I misread or misunderstood. And I feel like I'm getting a bunch of definitions of things that I already know the answer to. I know what definitions are and how they function. I just don't know how to get in. I don't know how to get my feet in. And that's what I was trying to get help with today. And so I don't know if I'm just speaking for myself or if I'm speaking for everybody, but I just don't feel like I'm getting a whole lot out of today. Other than the
we
definition.
have a few people that are agreeing with that. So my question is, are you looking for a consultant who's going to help you navigate the SAM system and create a capability statement and things of that nature? Because we can do that. But are you wanting to be in a mentor program?
So I need both. I need that. And then I also need help getting hooked up with a mentor, because in my industry doesn't have a large company like GD, like General Dynamics. There are no international landscaping companies that I'm aware of. I'm interested in doing, government facilities, bases, sides of highways, things of that nature, schools. So I don't know how to find somebody.
So Stacy, I think that with your specific, you're looking for a government contracting specialist. So a consultant that can speak to you about, getting in the government contracting field. And Scott Poole would be the person for that. So I can send him your information. And it's just two different things. Is if you're looking for consulting services and how to navigate the contracting world, that's consulting. The Mentor-Protégé program is where you work with a specific company and you get the ins and outs of your specific industry. So in Mr. Carroll's
Right, but
point,
isn't that what this was supposed to be about? I mean, it was called Mentor-Protégé. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think I'm confused.
and it's supposed to be about how to get into the Mentor-Protégé program offered by the government to do government contracting.
Okay, I feel like we're going in circles. I don't understand. So I'll just have to speak to one of y'all off the chat because I don't want to take up everybody's time.
I completely understand, but and a lot of that has to do with what you define mentor. How do you define that? And so that's a little different. And then Miss Monet asked, I think we are just looking for a step-by-step on how to get into the program. And I'll give you a call if you don't mind. So I clearly understand, what program you're talking about. As in getting consulting services or truly going into a protege program. Was there anything else that, Scott, that you would like to add? And Scott, you're muted.
No, but if you'd like to get together, you could just shoot me an email. We could arrange some time outside this meeting and talk a little bit more in depth.
So, Scott, you had mentioned 2 websites. If you can provide those to me, that where you can look for potential mentors and large businesses that have received contracts and things of that nature, I can include that in an email that I'll send out to everyone.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. So are there any other questions? And thank you, Ms. Brooks. I think that was kind of confusing as what our services provide, which are counseling or consulting services versus a government mentor protege program. So thank you, Ms. Brooks. And if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to be sending out an email before I leave today that will include those links, the slides from the presentation today. Please respond to that survey. That is most helpful to us, as in, did we provide the information clearly, which obviously we didn't. We might have been able to do a better job explaining the differentiation between consulting and the protege program. So, but please respond to that survey, and that just helps us improve on these events. So, Scott, Mr. Carroll, is there anything else that you would like to say before we close?
No, I'm just fine as well. I appreciate the opportunity here. I know there's a lot of folks on the call. Some of them, I guarantee, are at different levels, and we're all at different levels when it comes to years and working with this particular the government client. It's worth it to go out there and to get smart about this. It's the biggest customer in the known universe is the U.S. federal government. It is complicated to go to work with. To work with her, but it is definitely the prize is worth the lick. And I'd say that the first thing to do is get the amount of free consulting that you can and spend as much time with these folks who are offering their one-on-one services for you for free. That is an amazing deal. And I would definitely start going and meeting on a regular basis. If you plan to go in there, especially states, like you said, you want to get more of those government facilities. I see those kind of contracts all the time. So I'd say go for it. You just need to be near a military base that's going to be able to, because you can get fragmented out. But thank you, Scott, and I definitely appreciate everybody's time here today as well. Over.
Thank you, Byron.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your afternoon.